So when it comes to Tyler Perry, his content always delivers high-stakes drama, but let's divert away from all of that and begin to unpack some serious trauma. Let's discuss. What's up, y'all? It's your boy Beasley here. Hope you all are staying cool, calm, and collected out there. Y'all, I don't know why I keep laughing in every video, but y'all, I wanted to go ahead and put my 2 cents into this Tyler Perry situation. I didn't really know if I wanted to talk about it because I have talked about it on my channel before, but also with the fact that I genuinely do like Tyler Perry. Like, even though behind the scenes some things be going on, I do genuinely think that Tyler Perry is a good person and means well. Y'all, these days when it comes to Hollywood, especially people in power, they're just opening the drain, huh? Like, all of the BS is coming to light, and it's coming so fast that these gatekeepers can't even catch a flight. Now, y'all, when it comes to me, Tyler Perry always gave family. Like, just looking at Tyler, you can tell that he is family. But Tyler was always able to keep his proclivities under wraps, but you can see a little bit seep through the cracks because when you watch his shows and plays, like the men that he cast, it always gave Marvin Bieneme. It always gave Rondu Men. Now, my older gays, y'all know what Rondu Men is. I think that's how you pronounce it. But you know those calendars with the very fine black men on them? Like, that's what Tyler Perry's content always gave and still gives. But a few weeks ago during this past Pride Month, a little bit more seeped through the cracks when we saw him getting onto a boat with Mr. Brian Tanaka-san. And if you guys don't know who Brian Tanaka-san is, Brian Tanaka was actually Mariah Carey's backup dancer and later Mariah Carey's boy toy. Brian Tanaka and Mariah Carey actually lasted way longer than I thought they would, but I will say it was very interesting seeing these two together, especially with the timing of it being Pride Month. Now, I will say this, right after that happened, a few days after those photos were made to the public, in walks Derek Dixon. If you guys don't know who Derek Dixon is a very obscure actor and a very miscellaneous character on Tyler Perry's show, The Oval, which I call The Oral. Y'all, when The Oral first came on BET, I watched like the first 3 or 4 episodes, and even though the content is ridiculous, I always like to support Tyler Perry's projects, but y'all, when I saw the president and the first lady just slapping each other, I was just like, He had the president's daughter sleeping with a security guard, and then somebody in the president's camp had a mama in a cult, and there was like a whole entire cult spin-off show. Like, it was just like, what is this? But I fell off on that show. I can't even tell you what show that season's on right now, but Derek Dixon was on that show. Don't know what season he came in, but he did leak some text messages alluding to the fact that he's on that show because he is one of Tyler Perry's many boy toys. And sorry, y'all, I forgot to say in the beginning of this video, allegedly. Now, when it comes to text messages, you can Photoshop text messages, make text messages through AI, all that jazz. Now, when I first read these text messages, I was just like, okay, this is some BS, like, what is this? But however, my dear friend Aaliyah told me to watch Tasha K's video on the subject, reading those text messages. If they're real, Tyler. Now, y'all, when it comes to these messages, like I said, if they're real, and not to victim shame, but I just can't help but call out what I see. Derek, it really looked like you were just going along with the get along. Like, you knew what time it was. Now, he alleges in his lawsuit that he would have to stay on Tyler's good side in order to keep his job because Tyler Perry allegedly likes to kill people off that don't do what he says or don't make things go his way in their whole entire situationship. But Derek, it felt like you were kind of like baiting him to kind of like catch him so you could blast him, like put him on blast later, and it kind of felt like you were going along with the get along because you were slowly getting put on. But if these text messages are true, I'm just like, child. You black man will sell your soul for the pink hole. But y'all, fake text messages aside, I will say none of this is really surprising to me because I have definitely spoken about stuff like this on my channel before, but also with the fact that also Christian Keys came out about a year ago after Cassie came out and alluded to the fact that somebody that was a higher up was allegedly SAing him or like trying to come on to him, and the way he described things was the same way that Derek Dixon described things. But y'all, outside of what's on the surface, the deeper thing that I have noticed when it comes to a lot of these men in power that abuse their power is the fact that a lot of them have either been groomed in their childhood or have went through childhood trauma that has manifested into their adulthood. Now, if you guys don't know, way back in like 2010, Tyler Perry actually did a sit-down interview with Oprah, and he discussed the physical and sexual abuse that he faced throughout his childhood.
How would you describe your childhood?
For me, a living hell. You know, I was able to, somewhere along the way, that my saving grace was I learned how to leave myself. I remember my mother and my aunt taking me to the park.
Look at your cute self there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard for me to look at Okay, it's hard for me to look at those pictures because I feel like I died as a child.
For example, his dad once beat him so bad that you could see his raw flesh. And then when he was 6 or 7, he was essayed by his neighbor's mother. And then on top of that, when he got a little bit older and his mom divorced his dad, he was actually sexually abused by like either 1 or 2 men that went to church with him and his mother.
I'm building a birdhouse and, you know, he had his hands in my pants. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, what is this? And I felt my body betraying me because I felt, it's odd because I felt an erection at that age.
At that age.
That's all I remember about him. And the next person I remember was a nurse in the hospital. I had been rushed to the emergency room from school for something, and a male nurse comes in and he was doing the same thing that this man was doing. And again, I left myself. And then there was the man in the church who, you know, used God and the Bible against me, you know, to justify a lot of the things that were going on. It was so horrible. And that was the first time, my first sexual experience was with this man performing oral sex on me as a boy.
Now, he did say he went through intense therapy to heal this, but hurt people tend to hurt people, sometimes unknowingly. And I think Tyler, if this is all true, Tyler is kind of regurgitating what happened to him in the past onto the people that are in front of him, especially since he can quote-unquote control them. And then speaking when it comes to power, a lot of people that were like the underdog for a very long time and treated bad, once they get into that power, they tend to repeat the cycle that they went through. Like, for example, so Tyler was homeless for a long time and had no financial power. And now, allegedly, he can control people with his pockets. And then on the Diddy side of things, the Diddyfication. So Diddy allegedly, this was in that Peacock documentary that was on him. It was alleged that his mom would throw sex parties when he was a child, and she exposed him to those sex parties. And now we have the Diddy that we see today. So it's easy to see how some of these men can turn out being weird and gay. It's easy to see how they can use their pockets to have very discreet, very, very sinful play. But shifting things back to Tyler, I will say, Tyler, you've done a lot for the black community. You've given us quality content, but you have given so much of your heart and soul into this world. And I've said this before, Tyler, this situation is still playing out, so it's gonna be interesting to see how it develops. And he could settle this all out of court because he has the money. But my thing is, Tyler, how much longer do you want to keep doing this? I think the thing with Tyler, if this is all true, is the fact that he hasn't really come to his truth. Like, he hasn't been able to look at himself in the mirror and say that I have a certain sexual preference. And like I said, it's hard. It's hard coming out. It's hard really facing yourself in the mirror, and it's really hard really owning and accepting your truth. But I will say, Tyler, if you were to accept your truth, I think the world would be behind you. Like, yeah, the Christians are all up in uproar, you know, they're anti-gay, but at the same time, a lot of them are gay. A lot of them are gay on the low, allegedly just like you. But Tyler, at the end of the day, I just think it's okay for you to, like, want to free yourself. Like, I mean, even with my friends, I would always joke and say, I'm going to date Tyler Perry one day. But, you guys, Tyler, I think it's just time to start really accepting the truth and facing the truth, because like you've overgiven and over-delivered throughout many decades in Hollywood, and if you want to go ahead and like keep your situation in the clear, it's time to make things clear. But yeah, y'all, those were just my views on the whole entire situation. At the end of the day, Tyler, it's okay. You're still a good person. You still have a big heart. You still mean well, but you're gonna have to like move like you're playing chess, if you get my drift. But yeah, y'all, let me know what you guys think about this whole entire situation. Those are my views. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm gonna come back at you guys with some more content.
Time can't erase. Yeah.